Welcome back to Atreyu News. More from Red State Watcher. Breaking. Trump administration reverses decision on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I figured it would make more sense to take it to the Supreme Court, considering the Ninth Circuit has like an 80% fail rate. Breaking news. Trump administration to appeal Ninth Court decision.
Immigration brouhaha that started more than a week ago. It appears that paperwork has just been filed. The Trump administration is indicating it will indeed appeal last week's adverse ruling in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. It'll appeal it to a larger panel, which is known as en banc, of the Ninth Circuit. There's a courtroom hearing today, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm watching the markets right now. Remember, highs of the session up more than 170. Right now, the market is absorbing this news, up 152. Courtroom hearing, 6 p.m. Eastern. And here's what's going to happen there. Lawyers for the federal government and the states will discuss this further via telephone, but it involves opening this to a bigger group of judges. I believe Peter Barnes is with us right now. Peter, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Liz. And I researched this last week when this was a possibility that the Trump administration could go back to the Ninth Circuit and appeal to a broader group of judges to rehear its request to stay at the district court level in Seattle that blocked President Trump's executive order on his temporary travel ban. And the process at the Ninth Circuit is to select 11 judges at random from the group of about 30 active judges, plus there are 10 senior judges who can also sit in and do this. So of the pool of about 40 judges available at that appeals court, there will be a selection of 11 of them at random. And because of that, it means that any of the 3 judges who actually ruled against the Trump administration could be selected for rehearing this with the larger group, because it is at random, and 1 or 2 or all 3 of them could be picked randomly to sit and rehear this case. So the Trump administration deciding to take this course to appeal it rather than go to the Supreme Court and look for an emergency ruling or an emergency stay there, which was also an option.
Boy.
This is so ridiculous. It is within the president's power to shut down immigration to the nation in which they govern upon. This is so ridiculous. Obama did it. A bunch of other presidents did the exact same thing. But because we live in a political correct wasteland, things like this are allowed to occur. But I'm convinced, one way or the other, the temporary ban to those 7 countries will go through once again. Breaking. Trump administration reverses decision. I just did that. Here's what the middle America think of Trump. A large portion of President Donald Trump supporters in middle America approve of the job he's doing, according to a Monday report from Politico. Well, considering a major part of his platform on running was to bring back jobs, and he brought back jobs, like, people make it so complicated that you can't win an election unless it's really thought out and really complicated. When people's needs in the middle of America, the backbone of America, it's pretty simple. Money, family, food, simple things like this. You give the people what they want, they'll put him in office for as long as he so chooses. Key swing counties in Indiana robustly support Trump's executive order that limits travel from 7 nations identified to be sources of terrorism, as well as a proposed wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. I think Trump is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Keith Kinsvatter told Politico. Other supporters compared Trump's performance in the first few weeks to his way of thinking in his book, Trump, The Art of the Deal, which actually is a great book. And it's pretty funny. Once he started running for president, I noticed the technique that he describes in his book about how to control and manipulate the media, like to use their weapon against them. And it's funny, the media never changed their playbook back from the 80s. They used the exact same tactics that Trump goes over in that book. So it's funny to see him use the stuff he was talking about. University professors expose the truth about Muslim migrants, and it's bigger than we thought. Well, it doesn't take Einstein to figure out what that is. University professor believes half the Muslim population disagrees with Western beliefs, and 50 million are fine with Muslim extremism. Well, it's fascinating because the Muslim extremism, to them it's not extreme, it's just part of the original religion. And it is pretty fascinating that people that don't study history, of course they're going to repeat the same stupid mistakes, failed to recognize that Islam tried to take over Europe and Western countries more than a few times in the last 1,000 years, but they were pushed back and defeated. And when the Ottoman Empire finally crumbled, they were powerless to push their agenda against the West. Until now, where we actually have Western backed traders funding these people and in many cases creating them. The Daily Mail reported, a migration expert warns that there are more than 50 million Muslims willing to accept violence and support those who carry out terror acts to defend their religion. 50 million people, that's a lot of people. Professor Ruud Koopmans of the Netherlands warned the EU on Monday to block the entry of any refugees whose identity cannot be categorically confirmed. Koopmans said that the 1 billion adult Muslims in the world, half of them are attached to a arch-conservative Islam, which places little worth on the rights of women, homosexuals, and people of other faiths. In an interview with a German news website, he claimed that these 500 million conservative Muslims at least, and probably more than 50 million, are willing to sanction violence. I like how they put 500 million conservative Muslims, as if conservative can be put on the tail end of this death and anarchy that Islam brings. That's funny, eh? Koopmans, who is a professor of sociology and migration research at the Humboldt University of Berlin and the director of integration research at the WZB Berlin Social Science, Berlin Social Science, that figures, stressed that not every one of them was ready to exert violence directly. But he added, they support the radicals, they encourage them and provide them shelter, or simply keep their mouths shut when they observe radicalization. Of course they do, because Islam has nothing to do with God as much as it does a ideology of supremacy, and that's really what it is. It's like an entire way to live, what to say, what to wear, what to think, what to eat, like who to talk to, how to pray. Like, it's not like Christianity where there's God and this and that. It's an entire way to live your life, and that's why it's so dangerous, because if you live your life like Islam would preach, and you go through each step as Muslims are supposed to adhere to, you realize very quickly that it can't coexist in Western society. This is a clash of civilizations.